Now, for the 10 years that Grand Theft Auto Online has been around, there's been a lot of vehicles that have been released onto the game since the launch of Grand Theft Auto Online and Grand Theft Auto 5. The average car that's been released in the past 2 to 3 years in Grand Theft Auto Online, the average car costs between $1.5 to $2.5 million. And a lot of those cars are not really worth buying. A lot of those cars are just like a one and done type vehicle. They're not really good for races. They have really bad customizations, and they're overall is really bland vehicles. Like, why am I paying $1.5 million for a 2002 Dodge Durango? Regardless what you feel about those vehicles are really expensive, which is why I'm making this video, that being best vehicles under $1 million. So if you guys do go on to enjoy this video, a like and comment would be appreciated. Subscribe to the channel. And with all that out of the way, let's get started with the video. Now, the first vehicle on this list coming in with a trade price of $400,000 or a buy it now price of $500,000, that being the Dinka Canjo. The Canjo is based off a third generation Honda Civic hatchback. And yeah, this car is pretty great. Not really that fast. It's not going to win you a lot of the races. However, the Canjo is in the compact class. So it's the third fastest compact car compared to the ISI Apocalypse and the BF Club. It's just coming in at number 3 at top speed of those vehicles. And one thing I do like about the Canjo, I do love JDM vehicles in general, so the Canjo by default I like, and the reason why I do like it is because it has a lot of cosmetic upgrades. And for a car that's just a little over $400,000 with this many cosmetic upgrades, I'd say it's pretty much worth it. Considering a lot of tuner vehicles, you're paying $1.5 to $2 million for those vehicles, and they have just as much cosmetic upgrades as the Canjo does. Granted, the Canjo did not come out with the tuners update. The Canjo actually came out with the Casino Heist update. And if you want to get the trade price for the Canjo, that being $400,000, if you want to get the trade price, you're going to have to use the Canjo as a getaway vehicle when you do the Casino Heist. So if you want the Canjo, I'd recommend doing the Casino Heist with a friend and getting the Canjo as a getaway vehicle for the Casino Heist. And to be honest, if the Canjo was released today, I'd say it'd be worth $1.3 million, give or take, considering the other tuner vehicles. But thankfully, it's only worth $400,000. I say only worth, but $400,000 is actually pretty cheap by today's standards in GTA Online. Up next on the list, coming in at $498,000, just shy of $500,000, would have to be the Pazi Tauros. Now, this is based off of a Lamborghini SUV, and this is the fastest vehicle in its class, that being the SUV class, coming in at 127 miles per hour, which is actually a lot faster than a lot of supercars, and it's faster than a lot of sports cars as well. And for the price of $498,000, I'd say it's pretty worth it. If you're on a budget and you want to win some races, or if you just want a fast vehicle to drive around in, I would recommend the Tauros 100%. Unfortunately, the Tauros does not have a lot of customizations, and what I don't like about the Tauros is that there's this gray stripe on the side that you cannot remove no matter what paint job or what livery you use. I really don't like that because it kind of limits you in customization wise. Depending on the color you put onto this vehicle, the gray stripe is not going to look good on it at all, so I just made mine black and yellow. Honestly, if the Tauros was released today in GTA Online, I would say that the Tauros would probably be worth $2 million, give or take, considering the prices of other SUVs in the game. Up next on the list would have to be the Sultan RS. Now, in order to get the Sultan RS, it is a Benny's vehicle, so you're going to have to buy a Sultan from the Benny's website for $12,000, or you can just steal Sultan off the streets. And then after you buy or steal a Sultan, you take it to Benny's garage and you convert it for $795,000 into the Sultan RS. And just like the Canjo, the Sultan RS is very customizable, much like the tuners vehicles that came out with the tuners update. But the Sultan RS did not come out with the tuners update. I actually don't know what DLC it came out with. It is still just as customizable as a lot of the other tuner vehicles that came out, like the Calico, the ZR350, and the Euros, and it's half the price as well. The majority of the tuner vehicles that came out with the tuner DLC range from $1.5 to $2 million, and with this, you only have to pay about $800,000, give or take. And the Sultan RS is actually pretty fast. Unfortunately, the Sultan RS is a supercar, meaning it would have to compete with the likes of the Krieger and the Emirates. So it's not going to be winning any races in that class. However, if you're at a car meet with other JDM vehicles or other tuner vehicles, and you bring the Sultan RS, I think you'll be pretty comfortable knowing that this car can reach speeds up to 121 miles per hour. Which is as fast as the likes of the Calico, the ZR350, and the Euros, and you're paying half the price of those vehicles for the same performance and just as much cosmetic upgrades for that vehicle. So I would recommend, if you're on a budget and you want a good JDM vehicle, I would for sure recommend the Sultan RS. And if the Sultan RS came out today, I would not doubt that the price of this vehicle would definitely be like in the range of like $1.6 million, comparing it to other tuner vehicles, that is. Up next on the list, coming in at $725,000, that being the Zentorno. Now, when you think of Grand Theft Auto Online, this is probably one of the first cars you think of when you think of GTA Online, because this car is super iconic, and this car for a good minute was like the fastest supercar in its class. Granted, there wasn't a lot of supercars when this car came out, so it got quickly outshined and outclassed by the Osiris and the Progen T20 and the Krieger. But the Zentorno itself, there's no denying how good looking this car looks. And yeah, there's not a lot of customizations to it, but there's at least a fair amount of customizations, I will say. Like, you can still personalize this vehicle with a few modifications this car had. They also recently added liveries to this car as well. And you can also change the secondary color to this car to make it almost like a stripe. So if you're into those striped liveries on your cars, you can for sure have a little stripe on the Zentorno. And I think mine came out pretty fine. I had like a red with a secondary blaze red, I think it is, with a Italian pearlescent, the Italian flag right there. And yeah, I'd say for just $725,000, this car is pretty decent. It's a pretty fun car to drive around in. It has great handling, it has great acceleration. Like I said, you're not going to be winning a lot of races with this car, considering it's not as fast as the Progen T20 or the Osiris. But I will say a Zentorno is a pretty iconic car. And when I got back into GTA Online in 2019, after taking a hiatus from the game, this is like the first car I bought when I got back into the game. So I would for sure recommend the Zentorno 100%. Even for the price and for the looks and for the iconography of this vehicle, I would for sure recommend buying this. And if the Zentorno was released today in GTA Online, I think the Zentorno will be about $2.4 million. Even though the speeds of this vehicle isn't that great, I would say just for looks alone, Rockstar would have no problem charging us $2.4 million for it. And I think that the Zentorno honestly deserves an HSW upgrade, but that's a whole other video. Final car on this list would have to be the Gauntlet Hellfire. Gauntlet Hellfire came out in 2019 with the Casino DLC at a price of $745,000. The Hellfire actually has a lot of customizations. You can change the bumper, you can change the rear bumper, you can change the livery, you can change the hood, you can change the grille. It's a very tunable vehicle. Not only that, but for the price of $700,000, this is kind of a steal, honestly. It's one of the fastest cars in its class, that being the muscle car. Granted, there is a learning curve when it comes to handling this vehicle, but the handling is good, but you could burn out at high speeds, so let's keep that in mind. But I think it's easily top 5 of the fastest muscle cars in its class. And for a long time, it was probably one of the fastest muscle cars next to the Dominator. And then it got outclassed by the Vajero ZX and the Buffalo STX. And now the Dominator GT. But this is still a very viable muscle car, and it sort of became forgotten over the years, especially with like I said, the release of the Vajero ZX and the release of the Dominator GT and the release of the Buffalo STX. But for a car under $1 million, you really can't go wrong with the Hellfire. One thing I will say about the Hellfire that I don't like, well, actually two things. It's pretty much cosmetics, so it's kind of subjective of how you feel about cars. I don't like how you can't remove the splitter. That's just my thing. It will look way more clean if you just get rid of the splitter, but unfortunately you can't. Also, I don't like how the car comes by default as a wide body. I wouldn't mind if you can add a wide body to the car, but to me personally, I think the wide body just makes it way too bulky. So to me, I believe that if the car came without the wide body, it'd be much more good looking to me. I still think the car looks great on its own, but if without the wide body on it, I think it would look a lot better. It would look a lot more slimmed down, honestly. But like I said, for a price of $745,000, you really can't go wrong with the Hellfire. And honestly, if the Hellfire was released today in Grand Theft Auto Online, I think the price for it would probably be like $2.2 million, given the price of the Buffalo STX and the Vajero ZX. And I really wouldn't put it past Rockstar to charge us over $2 million for the Hellfire if it came out today. To me personally, these are like the best cars you can buy for under $1 million. But granted, these are only 5 cars that are under $1 million. There are a lot of other cars in Grand Theft Auto Online that are under $1 million that are just as good as these cars. Maybe I'll make a video about that, we'll see. If you guys did go on and enjoy this video, like and a comment would be appreciated. Subscribe new to the channel, and let me know down in the comments below, what's your favorite car that's under $1 million in Grand Theft Auto Online. With all that out of the way, I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. Take care, everybody.